Hello, everyone, and welcome to Big Sam's Long Balls podcast with me, Dan. Now, today I thought I'd try and do a different type of video, seeing as there's going to be no Premier League football this weekend and potentially for the next couple of weeks as well. And now, in this video, I'm going to build the greatest Liverpool side in the Premier League era. So, obviously, I cannot use the likes of Kenny Dalglish, Ian Rush, Graham Souness, and so on and so on. Now, this is going to be a little game that I'm going to be playing. If you guys want to get involved, that would be amazing. Comment down below your greatest Liverpool team in the Premier League era. This is going to be a little bit of a series that I do alongside some more topical videos. So, I will try and do the same for Manchester United, begrudgingly. Also, Arsenal, Chelsea, Tottenham, so on and so on. If there's any other teams that you'd like me to try and make the greatest team of, then let me know in the comments down below. And most certainly get involved by commenting your teams. And if you enjoy this type of video, give us a like and subscribe. That would be amazing. But before you jump in and start writing out your greatest Liverpool team of all time, there are going to be some rules and restrictions to this game because we all love a good rule book. So essentially, I can't just create a Liverpool team of just say, let's go with Alison Becker, let's just chuck in a Steve McManaman from the Roy Evans teams, and so on and so on. I'm going to pick from three teams. So essentially, I'm going to pick from the team that won Liverpool the Premier League title, obviously the 2021 season, the team that finished second under Brendan Rodgers in 2013-14, and the team that finished second once again, unfortunately, under Rafa Benitez in 2008-2009. So I can only pick players from these three teams. I'm also going to pick a manager, and obviously that manager can only be from those three teams. I'm not going to pick two teams from the same manager because it would just feel a little bit silly. So let's jump straight into this. Now, along with those rules, you have to implement the tactics from one of those teams. So, for example, if I go, Jurgen Klopp is going to be my manager, I don't have to stick to the 4-3-3 that he plays. I can go along with, say, Brendan Rodgers' tactics from 2013-14 of playing a 4-4-2 diamond shape. So, just kind of mix and match a little bit. So, those very basic rules, but those are the rules in place. So, my manager out of those three is going to have to be the German Jurgen Klopp. He's obviously the man that won Liverpool the Premier League title, and he's won us everything at this football club. So he's having a bit of a bad spell at the moment. Hopefully, all of that, hopefully all of that fixes once we get back to playing Premier League football again. But he's still good enough to be my manager in the greatest Liverpool team in the Premier League era. Now let's jump straight in with formations and tactics. I could go with the 4-3-3. I could go with Brendan Rodgers' 4-4-2 diamond shape, or I could go with what was more like a 4-2-3-1 under Rafa Benitez. And that is exactly the shape and formation that I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with Jurgen Klopp as my manager, but with Rafa Benitez's sort of formation. Mainly because I kind of want Jurgen Klopp to change formation at this current moment in time and do a 4-2-3-1 with the current squad options available. But anyway, let's jump straight in, shall we? So, goalkeeping options, we've got Alison Becker from the Jurgen Klopp team. We've got Simon Mignolet from Brendan Rodgers' team, and we have got Pepe Rayner from Rafa Benitez's team. Now, no disrespect to Simon Mignolet. Yeah, he was a very, very decent goalkeeper for us. Probably a little bit underrated. Never got the opportunity to play with the likes of Van Dijk really in front of him. So I want to give him a little bit of credit. But with that being said, he's out straight away. And it really is a straight shootout between Alison Becker and Pepe Rayner. Now, Pepe Rayner was a fantastic goalkeeper for Liverpool. At some point was really considered to be up there with some of the very best goalkeepers in the world, really. The likes of Casillas at Real Madrid, Petr Cech at Chelsea, and Edwin van der Sar at Manchester United. Unfortunately, he was never able to really win the big prizes at Liverpool Football Club. I think he left the club having only won, I believe, the Premier League and the League Cup, I think, is something like that. So nowhere near the trophy cabinet that he would have wanted or really deserved for the caliber of player that he was. He was an incredible, world-class goalkeeper at Liverpool Football Club, who we should remember fondly. However, it has to be Alison Becker. He's won it all at Liverpool. Premier League winner, Champions League winner. He's won the domestic cups. He's won everything at this football club. And he's almost been really the main man while doing it, even with the likes of Van Dijk. When Van Dijk was really at his best in front of him, Alison Becker was still, in my opinion, the best goalkeeper in world football. And to this day, I still would say that Alison Becker is the number one goalkeeper in world football, although he's not being made to look at this current moment in time. Now then, because it's going to be a 4-2-3-1, we're going to be playing with the back four. Fullbacks, I'm going to chuck in Trent and Robertson. Really, some of the other options we've got potentially Glenn Johnson at right back. I think we would all probably agree Trent over Robertson. And at left back, if I look at that Brendan Rodgers season, Ali Sissoko or John Flanagan, they're getting nowhere near Andy Robertson. Let's be perfectly honest. So Andy Robertson at left back and Trent at right back. I think it'd be fair to say that Virgil van Dijk slots straight in on that left side at centre back. So really, we got one position up for grabs. We could look at some of the more centre back options under Jurgen Klopp. We could go chuck in a Joel Matip if we want. We could chuck in a Dejan Lovren, a Joe Gomez. But that's, we'll probably skip out the Brendan Rodgers team, let's be perfectly honest, because that was the worst part about that season. The centre-backs or the defence in general really did cost Liverpool Premier League title. So we'll have a look at the options under Rafa Benitez in 2008-2009. Obviously, Mr. Sky Sports himself, Jamie Carragher. He's not going in. Love Jamie Carragher. I think he was a top player. However, I don't think he was the best centre back in the world when he played for us. Sami Hyypiä is a big one. I'd be very interested to see Virgil van Dijk and Hyypiä as a defensive partnership. I think that would be really, really solid. Daniel Agar is another one. He's a bit of a player of what if for me. Retired early really because of injuries. You could move Van Dijk over to that right hand side, put Daniel Agar onto his favourite left hand side. Can get your goals from distance. His quality on the ball. He was a top centre half, Daniel Agar. So him and Van Dijk would be a very interesting defensive partnership. But I'm kind of gonna go outside the box here. Not cheat. I'm not disobeying my rules here, but I'm going to put someone at centre back who didn't actually play at centre back for Liverpool, but moved on to Barcelona. Had a terrific career there. Played under Pep Guardiola, where he became a centre-back himself, playing alongside the likes of Carlos Puyol and Gerrard Piqué, and he just went up another level. And that is Javier Mascherano. Just the idea of a back five of Alisson, Trent and Robertson, Van Dijk and Mascherano at the back, it would be fantastic to see. Quality on the ball. That Mascherano is not the tallest, of course, he isn't, but he was a warrior in that defence or anywhere on that pitch. He was a quality player and went up another level when he went to Barcelona. One of the greatest club sides we've ever seen, that Pep Guardiola Barcelona side, and Mascherano was a big part of that. So I'm going to put him as my centre back alongside Van Dijk. In midfield, we're going to go with a double pivot. So I think I'm going to start off really with Fabinho. I know he's bang out of form at this current moment in time, but at his best, he is one of the best defensive midfielders in world football. Looking in that Brendan Rodgers team, we only really had Stevie G as a defensive midfielder, sort of like an older, declining Stevie G. Dare I say, a position that was never really his forte. And other than that, the likes of Joe Allen. So yeah, not really many qualities to compete with Fabinho in that situation. And obviously, I've put Mascherano at centre back. If I hadn't, then Mascherano would probably be ahead of Fabinho. But it was my way of trying to get these guys both in. So Fabinho, and he slots inside one of my favourite players when growing up. And I shed a tear. When he left in the summer of 2009, when he left to join Real Madrid. And that is the one and only Xabi Alonso. Can score from anywhere, score on the halfway line, score from his own half. He was just a ridiculously brilliant player, Xabi Alonso. So a double pivot of Alonso and Fabinho for me in this Liverpool's greatest ever side in the Premier League era. Now, let's move on rather to our wide players. I think fairly easy this one. We've got Mane and Salah for Jurgen Klopp. Brendan Rodgers with that 4-4-2 diamond didn't really play with any sort of too many wide men. Obviously, he did have someone like a Raheem Sterling, but he at times would play kind of a little bit deeper, sometimes a number 10, sometimes in sort of like a midfield 3 almost. You could put a Coutinho on that left-hand side. You could put a Raheem Sterling from Brendan Rodgers' time. But, you could potentially put even a Suarez out there or a Daniel Sturridge, who was a fantastic player. But those guys were strikers. I don't want to keep those for an option for my lone striker. So with that said, I'm going to be putting Mo Salah on that right and Sadio Mane on the left. I don't think there's going to be too many complaints about that. An end of an era, really, really devastating to see Sadio Mane leave this summer. It's obviously, I think, having a bit of repercussions. We're really, really missing him at this moment in time. But in terms of, legendary status, he is up there now for me. So putting him in this greatest Liverpool side in the Premier League era is a bit of a very, very simple decision. Mane and Salah, two of the greatest really to do it for Liverpool. So the team so far, obviously, we've got Alisson, Trent and Robert at fullbacks, Van Dijk and Javier Mascherano as a defensive partnership. In midfield, we've got the double pivot of the beautiful passing machine of Xabi Alonso next to the destroyer of a Fabinho. On the right-hand side, we've got Mr. Golden Boot each Premier League season, Mo Salah, followed up by one of the greatest wingers I've ever seen in my lifetime is Sadio Mane. So we've got two more positions. We got the number 10 and we got the number 9 role. So let's start off with the number 10. Probably a very simple decision, a name that is obviously missing from this team at the moment. And when you sort of talk about players who would be in Liverpool's greatest ever side, he would be probably the first out of many people's mouths. He's going to be the skipper in this team as well. And that is the number 8, Steven Gerrard. What a player he was. Watching him as a kid growing up he was on another level. Severely disrespected and overlooked at times. We all hear the argument, Gerrard or Lampard, Gerrard or Scholes. For me, there's no competition. I know, look, Scholes and Lampard were brilliant. They were brilliant at what they did. But add in some of the context of some of the absolute shite that Steven Gerrard had to play with. He could play anywhere. He could play at right back. He could play defensive midfield, box to box, right winger, left winger, and number 10. He could play as a striker. He was incredible. One of the best players in the world. He was up there with Ballon d'Ors being compared to the likes of Messi and Ronaldo. He was on their level in different positions, and really, selfishly, perhaps he could and should have really have left Liverpool if he wanted to win more trophies. But as a Liverpool fan, I'm so delighted that he stayed with us. I think he sort of sacrificed his own personal career for this club, and I'd love to imagine him playing today under Jurgen Klopp. He would be absolutely incredible. So one of the greatest players I've ever seen in my lifetime, an incredibly underrated and undervalued player as well somehow. So yeah, Steven Gerrard definitely in this team, plays at number 10, which he did under Rafa Benitez. He pushed him a little bit further forward, and that dynamism, just running off the striker a little bit. Like when Dele Alli first broke onto the scene, I thought, whoa, this guy could be the next Stevie G. And obviously we've seen what's happened to Dele Alli in recent seasons. But Steven Gerrard under Rafa Benitez, that was the best version of him, in my opinion. Probably under a manager that he didn't particularly get on with. But that partnership that he had with Fernando Torres was just, it was something else. But speaking of Fernando Torres, we now need to find our number 9 for this greatest Liverpool side in the Premier League era. And we do have some incredible options. We have incredible options in general. We can't include the likes of Robbie Fowler and Michael Owen because of the rules I've implemented. But still, we could look at that Jurgen Klopp side. We can look at, say, Roberto Firmino, who, again, another incredible, underrated and undervalued player himself. I think he's been the best false 9 or the best player at what he does in world football over the last number of seasons. He's probably at a point now where maybe he's sort of starting to slow down, although he's actually probably been one of Liverpool's best players this season, to be fair. But that front three of Salah, Mane and Firmino was stunning. And it's tempting to chuck him back in with the likes of sort of Stevie G running off him. But for as good as Firmino is and was, he's not quite at this level for what I would have in the greatest Liverpool side in the Premier League era. So unfortunately, Firmino sits this one out. We look at the Brendan Rodgers team. This is probably the best part of that team, really. Daniel Sturridge and Luis Suarez. Obviously, most of us talk about Luis Suarez, and understandably so, but I think it's important to really look back at Daniel Sturridge and his time at Liverpool and just go, the one thing that really killed this guy's career was injuries, unfortunately. If he could have stayed fit, I think he would have broken so many goal scoring records. He was a goal machine. And in my opinion, at times, I'm not going to say he's a better player than Luis Suarez. Don't worry. I know he wasn't a better player, but I think he was a better goal scorer at times. You give Daniel Sturridge half a chance, bang, it was in the back of the net. He was incredible. And I remember when Sky Sports was doing those stats of comparing Sturridge and Suarez's partnership to actual other football teams. It was just absolutely hilarious. Those two were outscoring probably 90% of other teams out there. They were incredible together. And then obviously we have to look at the out and out number 9, Fernando Torres. Loved this guy as a kid. Well, kid, probably teenager, let's be perfectly honest. When he first arrived, I was amazed by him. I wanted to be him. I'll be honest. Every time I played football at grassroots level, I grew my hair out really, really long to try and look like him. That was awful. It was really embarrassing. But just what a player. Just it ended horribly when he fucked off to Chelsea and all of that. It was brilliant watching him flop. But his time at Liverpool, he was the best striker in world football, in my opinion, and probably most people's opinions, really, at that period of time. He was just on another level. And that relationship, as I sort of alluded to earlier, with Steven Gerrard, oh my God, it was just incredible. So for me, Firmino's out, and I'm probably going to put Sturridge out as well, as much as I really, really love Daniel Sturridge. So it's going to be between Fernando Torres and Luis Suarez. And I'm kind of, a part of me was leaning more towards Fernando Torres, but I think really realistically, the reason for that is probably nostalgia. Watching him sort of as a young teenager and absolutely loving this guy and wanting to be him. Really, when I became older, I failed massively in that regard. But this isn't a therapy session. So, but Fernando Torres was incredible. He was an amazing goal scorer. But overall, I think it has to be Luis Suarez. And imagine him under Jurgen Klopp as well, a pressing machine, a monster. He could play anywhere across that front three. The fluidity that he would have with the likes of Mane and Salah in this dream team would just be, it would be incredible. And he was amazing at Liverpool. Well, he was amazing at Ajax before he came to Liverpool. And then when he came to Liverpool, he was, I think he burst onto another level. Again, Liverpool teams that weren't particularly very good. It's one of the reasons why I rate him and Steven Gerrard so highly. They were able to achieve and perform at such a high level with some very, very average players around them. And, it was heartbreaking in watching him go, but he went to Barcelona and he went up again another level. And I didn't even feel that it was possible, playing next to the likes of Neymar and Messi and not looking out of place at all is such an incredible achievement. And actually, at times, looking the best player in that front three. Is that the greatest front three that we've ever seen? Messi, Neymar, and Suarez? Quite possibly. But I think this front three wouldn't be too far behind in Salah, Suarez, and Mane. So anyway, guys, this is my greatest Liverpool side in the Premier League era. I hope you've enjoyed the video. It was just a little bit of fun today, seeing as the football's been cancelled, and it's just it's a bit rubbish, to be perfectly honest. So yeah, I hope you guys get involved. Comment down below. Stick to my rules. Let me know if there's any other teams that you would want me to do one on. I was planning on doing one on the likes of Arsenal, can sort of look at their invincible teams and so on and so on. Manchester United, begrudgingly, but I want this podcast to be for all football fans. Chelsea. So if there's any other teams that you want me to do one for, then comment down below. And but yeah, comment down below your teams, your ultimate Liverpool team in the Premier League era, because I'll be fascinated to see, because a topic like this, you're always going to have different answers. You're always going to disagree, and that's kind of the beauty of it. So yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this video today. I hope you found it quite entertaining. If you did, leave us a like. That would be amazing. If you could subscribe, that would be amazing if you could do that as well. We are very close to 100 subscribers, so we really want to get there, and it would just be so much fun for a channel like this if we can reach 100 subscribers. Genuinely would mean a lot to me and to Chris, I'm sure. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you very, very soon.